have a really bad feeling that something happened to her.
A Tennessee woman gone without a trace. Nearly 2 weeks later, still no answers.
Whether it was an accident or intentional, whether it was traumatic or, I don't know, but something's not right.
Her friends now making a desperate plea.
We love you, and we just want you to come home.
44-year-old Emily Bradley was last seen on Sunday, February 18th in Nashville. Since then, her family and friends, like Jaya Rose Wendell, have spent nearly 2 weeks searching for clues.
Emily Bradley is one of the most unique, talented, brilliant individuals that any of the people who know her have ever met. Like she's just full of life. She's full of love. She loves people really hard, and she works hard. She's a real hard worker and a really creative, wonderful, passionate, awesome young lady.
Wendell was with Bradley the last day she was seen when their friend group hosted a memorial for another friend who'd passed away.
And it was his birthday, so we were having a heavenly birthday celebration for him in my backyard with just a handful of friends and a bonfire and an altar in his honor and stuff like that. And her and her on again, off again partner came to celebrate with us. And that was, after they left that night, that was the last time that any of us had heard from her.
Wendell says Bradley and her boyfriend had been fighting that day, but she's unclear what they were arguing over. She didn't ask questions, and the pair left after the celebration of life. So that was the last time that you talked to Emily, and when did you realize that something was off, that she wasn't around?
So I believe the order of operation was, so that was Sunday night. I believe it was like Monday afternoon. Like late in the afternoon, I got a text from the boyfriend asking if I had seen her. And I was like, what do you mean? She left with you. And he then gave me the story that they had fought and she let him out on the side of the road, or he jumped out on the side of the road on Dickerson Road, and that was the last time he had seen her or heard from her. And her father called me that day as well, asking me if I'd seen her or heard from her. So then we all started reaching out, trying to find her. And that's when we realized something was kind of wrong.
The day she went missing, Bradley's cell phone turned off and hasn't been turned on since. Investigators say Bradley was last seen driving her vehicle, a silver 2014 Chevrolet Cruze in East Nashville. The vehicle had Florida plates and a noticeable dent on the trunk. The Metro Nashville Police Department reports that a license plate reader made 2 hits on her vehicle days later, on February 21st. Those pings were in Hendersonville, about a half-hour north of Nashville. Since then, the vehicle hasn't been seen again. But Wendell says she's sure Bradley didn't leave willingly. What made you think that something was wrong, that foul play was involved in this, and Emily didn't just leave on her own accord?
Mostly that said boyfriend had many different versions of what had happened, and his story changed many times. He was unable to give me an exact location on where she let him out. He told me several different places. At first it was at the Walmart, and then it was at Waffle House, and then it was by the liquor store, and then he actually just admitted to being, I don't know where it was. It was all confusing, but he claimed that that was the last time he saw her, and that he showed me this apartment building. He said that that's where he stayed that night, and that he hadn't heard from her ever since.
Police haven't listed any suspects in the case, so we won't name Bradley's boyfriend. But what we do know, according to Wendell, is that their relationship could be tumultuous.
Her and said person, they have a known history of incidents. And I don't want to get too much into it, but I can say that I feel like I've sent along to detectives some pretty intense text messages from said person in moments of frantic rage. He's sent me incriminating photographs of weapons.
Another clue Bradley left behind is her service dog named Bob Johnson. Her friends say if Bradley had left willingly, she would have brought him along.
She would never leave him behind, and she would never abandon him. And that's just not, if she was going anywhere long term, she would have stopped by and picked him up. And he's always been like her lifeline. This dog has traveled all over the world with her. I mean, she was that girl with the dog in the purse on the airplane. Like, she took Bob Johnson with her everywhere. And now that he's gotten a lot older, it's not uncommon for her to not bring him to every event, but she never leaves him for long. She just doesn't. She thinks that he needs his rest, so she doesn't like drag him out all the time like she used to. But she never leaves him like locked in a house or a trailer for that. She never leaves him locked up with. That's just not her. She loves this dog.
Bradley's father traveled to Nashville from Florida this week to put up missing posters and learn more about the investigation. Wendell says it's a bad sign that he hasn't heard from his daughter.
She would never torture her father and mother like this. She's very close with her family. In fact, her father and her talk like almost every other day. And her mother, is stressed to the max and, suffers some health issues. And she loves her parents a lot. She's always been a good girl like that. She loves her parents, and I don't think she would torture them, even if for some weird reason she wanted to escape and start a new life, which just sounds not not very practical. So yeah, I have a really bad feeling that something happened to her.
As for the police investigation into Bradley's disappearance, Wendell says there's room for improvement.
Unfortunately, the reaction time on any of these leads that we've been giving them has been just astoundingly slow. And I know I've reported some what I thought to be very valuable information. I reported it via protocol. I had officers come out, take a report, and I guess it didn't end up on their desk till Monday, and that was Thursday. So, I mean, if we're dealing with something like where Emily could still possibly be out there fighting for her life somewhere, the turnover and the urgency is just really, I mean, I can't explain. I don't want to say maybe they're doing the best they can. Maybe they didn't think it was real. I don't know. But all I know is that we need to act fast, and we need the help of larger powers that be, because Metro must be very busy at the moment. It doesn't seem like it's not getting any more hopeful by the day. Let me put it that way.
And as for what exactly happened to Bradley, Wendell says something must have gone wrong. What do you think happened to Emily? Where do you think that she is?
It's very confusing because we're not getting an accurate read on what we feel. It's very at first I think we all felt like her light was still here, but maybe glowing very dim. And that's why I think it was absolutely time is absolutely of the essence, because I feel like something definitely has happened wrong, whether it was an accident or intentional, whether it was traumatic or, I don't know, but something's not right.
Wendell says her friend group is praying for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Like, I've definitely thought about the very worst case scenario, and I've definitely been trying to prepare myself for the fact that she may not be with us in a physical realm anymore. And the only comfort is that her and I and the rest of our friends, we are quantum entangled, and whether she is physically here or spiritually here, that we'll always be together. I'm not going to borrow doom and gloom yet, because we're just praying that she comes back home safely.
Meanwhile, the search for Emily Bradley continues.
And if anybody, wants to do something, really the best that people can do at this point, I think, is, take the flyer offline, print a couple out, put it in your neighborhood, ask around. And if you see anything that looks suspicious, if you see anything that looks like maybe a tip, don't hesitate to call the detectives,
If you have any information about Emily Bradley's disappearance, contact the Metro Nashville Police Department. We reached out to them for this story, but have not yet heard back. Reporting for Law&Crime, I'm Gillespie.